even though that's not the way Jerry Jones has operated.
The last time Dallas took a quarterback in the first round, that would be Troy Aikman back in 1989. Look who's here. It's about time I see my friend with some good energy. We're ready for our prom picture and our choral in just a bit. Swagoo, we'll get to you in a second. Obviously, this is your squad.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful today. The fact that we matched it up and the other two guys look like they going to work on Wall Street. I'm just glad we adding some juice to this show today. Fashion sense.
A little flavor, a little something, something.
Anytime
we need
I
spring.
show up, there's juice, brother. Anytime I show up, there's juice.
Okay.
It's all right, though. I feel you. I feel you.
The juice is loose. Okay, let's go.
Mark is
Stephen
dressing
A.,
like,
should Dallas
Crockett or
draft?
Tubbs from Miami Vice. It's 2021, brother. What are you doing?
Clean. Clean. I'm living the clean life,
We all
Max.
need a little
That's
color
all.
sometimes. That's right. So fresh and so clean. Stephen A., should Dallas draft a quarterback with that 10th pick? What do you think they should do?
Hell no. And no quarterback should want to go there. All you got to do is see how they're treating Dak Prescott and shouldn't even want to be there. That's number one. Number two, is Trevor Lawrence going to last to number 10? No. Is Justin Fields going to last until number 10? Likelihood, no. Is Zach Wilson going to last until number 10? Likelihood, no. And there's no other quarterback that anybody felt was worth mentioning at the number 10 spot anyway. I like this kid, Mac Jones, out of Alabama, but I don't expect, I think that he's considered a late first rounder, and I don't think anybody would take the chance of taking him that early, that high in the draft. Having said all of that, again, if those top two quarterbacks are not taken, if they're gone before, unless they fall at number 10, I don't think that you do that. My attitude is, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you know what? How about Patrick Surtain out of Alabama? I mean, he's the leading cornerback in the national, and coming into the draft out of Alabama. And what this brother can do, potentially as a shutdown corner, I think can make Dallas's defense very, very elite. We know they need help on the defensive side of the ball. They've got several holes to fill in that regard, but having a shutdown corner to shut off one side of the field can definitely go a long way. I think that's the manner in which you go. You go about the business of prioritizing signing Dak Prescott, coming to your damn senses and doing what's right, and you call it a day. I don't think you should be thinking about bringing another quarterback into the equation, because that's just making more trouble for next season. First of all, Dak Prescott in all likelihood would be there because you'd franchise him. Secondly, Andy Dalton is no scrub. He's a backup that's capable of giving you starting minutes, at least for a couple of games or a few games or so. I think that is the route that you go. You do not draft a quarterback. You draft somebody on the defensive side of the ball, and primarily in this particular case, considering how big-time Patrick Surtain is out of Alabama, I think you go that route.
I think first, Ed Werder has had a very good, he's been all over this situation with good ways to think about it. For example, I quoted the other day, I actually think it was on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin in the morning, Stephen A., on the radio. I think Ed was like, look, you wanted that fifth year of control so bad that you wouldn't take 4. Instead, you took 1. It doesn't make sense. So I like the way he's thinking about this, but I disagree with this. I'm with you here, Stephen A., unfortunately. You don't draft a quarterback 10 unless you love the guy. Like if Justin Fields falls to 10, yes, because he's considered, he has some of the same qualities Dak does, but maybe we don't know about the leadership and the professionalism because he hasn't been there yet. But physically, he seems like a souped-up version, maybe. So I get it. I get that. And then it restarts the rookie contract and all that. But if he's not there, why spend the 10th pick on it? Let's not forget, they got Dak in the 4th round. They might love a guy later in the draft. You don't have to use the 10th overall pick. And I'll tell you something else. Dallas has a lot of holes to fill right now. You mentioned a defensive back. Yes, Stephen A. A corner, they really need it. That's probably top. But I'll give you another idea here. The offensive line. The reason Dallas's offense got so great, not just Dak, because before that it was Romo. It was the offensive line. They invested in that offensive line. It was like 1 year after another. First round pick, first round pick, first round pick. I want to say 4 out of 5 years. That's why they had the best O-line in the business. It ain't the best anymore. You've had injury. You've had retirement. You've had a whole bunch of stuff. And guys just continue to miss time because of injury. The O-line's not the same anymore. That offense won't be the same. So I would say, you're probably right. Corner first. I would look at the O-line if I wasn't looking at the corner. By the way, linebacker.
Oh, my God.
They have this tandem at linebacker that looks super super athletic and talented, but they underproduce. They have so many problems that they need to address high up in the draft. Quarterback isn't one of them, especially since they're giving Dak a contract. Let's not get crazy.
Well, listen, first of all, we talking about this situation with a caveat. Obviously, we talking about should the Cowboys draft a quarterback if one of the guys we've been talking about in this draft falls to number 10, or they can make a move up to get him. Yes, it's smart because you don't want to be in Stephen A's team situation down the line. What Pittsburgh is in right now. Don't have a damn quarterback. Bad numbers on the book for their starting quarterback. You don't know if Dak is going to want to come back to Dallas. You don't know if this contract is going to get done. Max, I done heard everybody say what you just said. It's going to get done. They're going to sign. How? What evidence do you have to prove that a contract is going to get done? Because all the evidence leads me to believe that we'll be here again watching Dak Prescott play on the franchise tag. And then guess what after that franchise tag? Either you're telling me that Andy Dalton is the future and you're going to use him as a bridge quarterback until you can identify one, or you draft one of these young guys, you figure out a way to get them, you don't have to pay them a lot of money, and just in case Dak Prescott, who, by the way, has all the leverage, decides, I'm going to depart from Dallas and go play somewhere else. You know what you got? A succession plan. You know who else was killed for that doesn't look so bad now? The Green Bay Packers. They got Jordan Love. Everybody lost their mind, went crazy.
Oh, please.
The bottom line is they have potentially a succession plan. Please, your team just signed Dwayne Haskins and Mason Rudolph is the backups. That's why Pittsburgh is in the situation they're in right now.
I definitely don't like that. But in the same breath, don't talk to me about Jordan Love. You haven't seen him yet. Don't get me started on Matt LaFleur and what's going on in Green Bay. That's number one. Number two.
They drafted him. They drafted him as a succession plan.
I understand. We'll see whether or not there is a succession plan. We'll find out. We'll see. Secondly, and more importantly, here's the deal. Why are you talking about Big Ben Roethlisberger like that? I mean, 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, throw for 3,800 yards in 15 games. You talking like he a scrub or something like that. They don't have no offensive line, don't have any running game. All right, you put it all on him. I'm not saying that he's that dude anymore, but it ain't like the brother's a scrub. It ain't like he can't come in there next year and still do some things. You ain't got to be so disrespectful like that.
What?
What?
Number
you
one,
heard what I said?
Number one, my argument had nothing to do with Ben Roethlisberger's ability. We know he's lost some ability, but we also know that if you insulate him with good people around him, he still can sufficiently carry a franchise in a way. Okay. But what you going to do after he leaves, Stephen A? Well,
I understand that.
Do you know Pittsburgh is going to have a quarterback next year?
I do not know that. I do not know that, but I do know what they do have. Oh, wait a minute. I do know what they do have, and I do know in the case of the Dallas Cowboys, again, you're making the assumption that people are assuming Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, or Zach Wilson. They were just saying blanketly the Dallas Cowboys need to draft a quarterback. They didn't sit up there. Of course, if one of those three are available, you got to strongly consider that if you're the Dallas Cowboys. But
here's the point.
Guess what? My priority walking in, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm not thinking they're going to fall to 10. So if those three are not there at 10, then I need to prioritize elsewhere. I don't need to just grab a quarterback just to make sure I got a security blanket for Dak Prescott when I can get a Patrick Surtain or this kid Slater out of Northwestern as an offensive tackle or somebody else. I might need to go that route instead of just grabbing a quarterback just to make sure I got somebody that can throw a football because Dak Prescott's going to be gone.
So you're not going to grab one this year just to put yourself in position to draft one next year?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question, Marcus. What did you say?
Marcus. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Max. So you're going to draft the quarterback
I was gonna
next
say,
year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, draft him next year.
I was going to say, I hate admitting, I hate agreeing with Stephen A. about this, Marcus, but he's absolutely right. If Justin Fields is not there at 10, if they don't love the guy that's there at 10, you know what it is just to draft a quarterback? You bring up the Steelers, right? Well, they drafted Mason Rudolph.
Max, we ain't talking about the Cowboys drafting no scrub. We ain't talking about them drafting just no any guy.
You got to love the dude that you're going to draft. And they don't have to use the 10th pick. They got Dak in the 4th round. They might find a dude later on in the draft that they like as much as whoever's there at 10. You bring up the Steelers as an example. That's what the Steelers did. The Steelers drafted later on, oh, we like this guy. This guy might be the answer. He wasn't. You can't hope that the dude is going to be something and spend a draft pick on him. He has to be a guy you actually like. Obviously, Green Bay really likes Jordan Love. They really think he can be something.
Okay.
You don't do it just to do it.
Okay, well, in that case, I apologize. I was under the impression that we were focusing on this 10th pick based on the guys we've been talking about in this draft as far as quarterbacks that we think have a future. It's not far-fetched that the Cowboys would consider a quarterback at 10 based on what their situation is with Dak Prescott. It's also not far-fetched that they would potentially try to move up to get one of these guys. Why would that be so out of the ordinary when you got a quarterback you've been in negotiation with for 3 years that you may lose after this year? Why is that so far-fetched?
Moving up, that's a different story.
They should draft a quarterback to move on in the future.
I think anything can be perceived as far-fetched when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys and intelligent decisions based on what has transpired over the last 3 years. And I'm quoting accurately because that's essentially what some dude named Marcus Spears, a.k.a. Pastor Spears, that was saying on Get Up this morning. So I'm just saying, I mean, it's not beyond the run. I mean, anytime you talk about them making sense, well, duh, they don't really usually do that.
That's why I think this would be,
You know what,
that's why I
Marcus?
think on their behalf, this would be pretty smart.